it's very easy to see the rise of do your own research kind of thinking in every way. And to be honest, in Europe it will be what about GMO and stuff. Here I saw it while, for example, doing research for Nigeria. I saw it, in real health choices, yes, about pregnancy, about your own safety, your family safety. That's a little bit crazy. This kind of distrust. But you mentioned money, and to be honest, I wanted to ask about it, because from my perspective, what's I think unique both in iLab and as well Code for Africa is the scale. But how do you even approach trying to approach this problem, this information problem, in a continent that is so diverse in terms of language, culture? We find it challenging in Europe. I don't even want to get into how many dialects you might have in one single African country. How do you collaborate?
It's almost impossibly difficult. So, I think we're the first people who say that we can improve on what we do just because we operate in such a complex environment that we don't have the resources to go as deep as we would like to in many of those places. And so we do try and the decisions that you have to make is you have to be ruthless about deciding what the topics are and what the focus is that really matters. And what we try and do is we try and say, is this going to be life-threatening? And we use that to try and narrow down the focus. So you've got to be very focused, number one. Number two, you often have to, by design, you have to understand that we have to be very creative about the resourcing. Mm-hmm. And so we've understood that you can't be held captive by any one country or any one funding source or any one partner. And I think it's actually worked to our kind of benefit that we've always been transnational. Right from the beginning when we were founded, we were transnational. So that no single government could kind of, through an election, change and become a dictatorship or not evolve into democracy like Uganda and tell us that we have to toe the official line, number one. And number two, that we've always been very conscious that you can never rely on a single funding model or funding source. And so from the beginning, we've always tried to build in a diversified funding model. And we have internal rules. Not more than 30% of our funding can come from donors. Not more than 30% can come from platforms or commercial partnerships. And so we've always tried to develop this very diversified model to protect ourselves. The perfect storm happens, like we're seeing now, 2025, where kind of 60% of your pie, or that 30% I've just said, suddenly starts changing dramatically. Mm. So even when you are forewarned, these things do happen, but it means that you've got more resilience. The complexity piece is something that also I think you need to do humility. And so the only way we've kind of engineered to try and operate meaningfully around that is you need to we've always understood that as one organization, we can never be the solution. And so we've always worked around partnerships mm-hmm. and building coalitions and ecosystems. And it sounds cliche. When they say Code for Africa, what does it do? And we say, we build ecosystems. It sounds like a clever marketing term. But the reality is that it's just pure survival, is that we really need kind of the depth of experience of a local organization as a partner, and then you also need to bring in technical partners. So it's always been about finding partnerships, and we're almost like a dating agency in a way. It's figuring out how to match up people with resources and skills to be able to do the work that we do. And so the moment you start pulling it apart, even internally, you'll see our teams are structured as kind of teams that work together rather than a single unified organization. So it's like kind of at a DNA level that we try to engineer ourselves to do that.